Ah, what music!
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It isn't like it being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you prime, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last.
There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. Sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes, every gear change, every corner, perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing,
That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own. Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Greetings everybody and welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix of 1991 on the Hungaroring circuit just outside the beautiful European city of Budapest. We are getting ready for an exciting battle out on the circuit. We're definitely going to have a very thrilling battle here as everything is really starting to take shape in terms of the championship fight. We go into the Grand Prix, starting with pre-qualifying of course. We'll keep you up to date with all the movers and shakers in the championship as we go through. But let's take you through the starting grid for a very different qualifying position for the Hungarian Grand Prix, where speed is not premium, mechanical grip really is, and it's pole position for Andy Wallace, the new boy in the Jordan, alongside Eddie Cheever in the Eurobrun. Naoki Hattori in the Honda is alongside Hideki Noda in the first of the AGS cars, Eric Bernard alongside Adrian Fernandez, Paul Tracy and Hiro Matsushita in 8th position. 9th on the grid is Lauren Aiello alongside Damon Hill in the Renault, then JJ Leto in the Monteverdi doing a great job alongside Nicola Larini. Then it is row 7 of the grid, Emanuele Pirro and Joachim Winkelhock. Alan McNish did reasonably well in 15th on the grid alongside the Minardi of Eric Comas. 9th row of the grid is Tommy Byrne alongside the new recruit Alex Zanardi in at Monteverdi. Then Carl Wendlinger in the second Jordan way back in 19th alongside the Renault of Jean-Marc Gounod. Roland Ratzenberger in the Fonmetal, Ricard Rydell in the Real, then Roberto Moreno and Martin Donnelly. On the back row of the grid, it is going to be Bernd Schneider in the Minardi alongside Andrea De Cesaris in the Subaru Colonni. So we're gearing ourselves ready for the start then of this exhilarating battle out on the course. Andy Wallace, first race in the Jordan, and he's put it on pole position. Definitely a shining talent to watch out for then over the course of this season. As the lights are ready to go to green, and they do now, and we are up and underway as Adrian Fernandez in the Eurobrun pushes their way forward. A new livery for the Ford team for this weekend. They've gone all blue for the blue oval. Alan McNish working his way further forward. Wallace has got a good start though in front of Noda. Hideki Noda, the British Formula 3 race winner, has got up into second position in front of Eddie Cheever. And then Eric Bernard is there in 4th position in the Modena Lamborghini ahead of the two Hondas of Hattori and Matsushita. So a very difficult start then for the Hondas. It's clear that they are really suffering without Aguri Suzuki and Uko Katayama in the car. But Andy Wallace is definitely having a really solid run up front in the Jordan Ferrari, looking very strong. It was recently announced that Ferrari will not be powering Jordans next year. They have a new engine manufacturer and supply, and also teaming up with a new chassis developer to help their move forward. There is Damon Hill, son of Triple Crown winner Graham Hill in the Virgin Renault, doing a fabulous job as he continues to march this team's progress forward. They're making massive strides, the Renault team, and looking very strong considering they were in the midfield early on in the season. And now Damon Hill is definitely trying to push the car further forward. There is Noda behind in the AGS, trying to work his way into contention. And then Eddie Cheever in the blue Eurobrun. There are rumours going around that we know exactly what the identity of the team is finally going to be in 1992, and it's rumours that it's Aston Martin that will be the brand in 1992. Braking zone. Through they come. Here's Emanuele Pirro and Lara on the inside line. And it looks as though the move has been made. Very nicely handled indeed there. Continues to make very tidy progress through. With Pirro up into 10th position, then past the Frenchman Laurent Aiello. So already a very solid start to proceedings. Hideki Noda trying to run in front of the European of Eddie Cheever, and Aiello is under pressure from the other Dallara now as Nicola Larini wants to be part of this battle. So Larini all over the back of Laurent Aiello. Going to come off the turn and looking very strong and solid at the moment. But Wallace in the Jordan doing the sensational job as he continues to run up at the sharp end of the field. And that's Gunnar colliding with the Subaru Coloni. So Gunnar having a moment there with one of the Subarus. I think that was the Cesaris rather than Moreno. But certainly Jean-Marc Gunnar and the Renault will not be particularly happy with the way that went down. So very unhappy for the Frenchman there, losing out at the expense of the Coloni, and it does look indeed like it was Andrea de Cesaris who's in front of Jean-Marc Gunnar. So a fabulous situation, be a really exciting one to finish. Eddie Cheever trying to make the bid up the inside now in front of Hideki Noda and diving through, so Eddie Cheever gets the run into second position in the Eurobrun. That was silver and is now all blue thanks to the blue oval of Ford. Continuing on, apparently this livery could stay for the rest of the season, but they keep changing their minds, the Eurobrun team, as to what kind of team they're going to run through the course of the year. So a fabulous run for all of the contenders as they continue to charge forward. So the battle continues on its way as they work their way through on the far side of the course. It's still going to be a really exciting challenge as the drivers come through. But now we're going to see what the contenders can produce. Up to the far side. Apologies for the sound. Apparently our director has turned it up the noise. He clearly wants to hear the noise of the cars more than me, but we're going to try and fix that over the course of proceedings. So Wallace, Cheever, Noda, Bernard, Hattori and Matsushita in the two Hondas. Obviously, still very interesting to see how the Honda team are going to continue with one man down and one man out. Suzuki is not going to be returning to the Honda team until after the Belgian Grand Prix, serving his 3-race ban that was given to him at the British Grand Prix. He's not the only one to have got that either, because Thierry Boutsen has a similar penalty that he is serving in the Williams team at the moment. As we watch the young Japanese driver Hideki Noda, one of the few Japanese talents in Grand Prix racing at the moment that isn't part of the Honda fold. Here comes Alex Zanardi, the new boy in at Monteverde. So he gets the move on the inside of his teammate JJ Leto. He's replacing Ivan Capelli for this race. Not that Ivan Capelli is particularly happy about it, but Alessandro Zanardi was given the chance by team manager David Junt. And here comes the very talented Canadian Paul Tracy in the Modena Lamborghini team as he continues to get himself around the course. He's raced a few times in the Grand Prix itself this year. So through the chicane, and Andy Wallace in the Jordan, still driving a beautiful race here, the British driver. Been trying to get into Grand Prix racing for quite some time, and he was offered a chance after the departing Fabrizio Barbazza left the team. There was a lot of argument as to when he was going to leave the team. He forcefully put himself into the car, essentially at the German Grand Prix. But then Jordan's Toto Smith very much gave him his marching orders, and so now Fabrizio Barbazza is out of the team and apparently making a move to IndyCar for the rest of this year and next year, as Hideki Noda now charges after Eddie Cheever in the Eurobrun Ford. Can he make his bid to try and get through on the inside line? It's going to be an interesting one to see if Hideki Noda can follow it through. And there is Roberto Moreno struggling in the Subaru Coloni. All sorts of rumours surrounding this team as well as to whether new team principal Danny Darwin can continue the team in its current guise. Subaru really want to maximise the team's chances here. But apparently Andrea Sassetti is starting to make inroads as to whether he wants to purchase the team. But up the inside, that is the Real of Ricard Rydell getting past Roberto Moreno. They were very competitive at the start of the year, and unfortunately it's all fallen away in recent months. As we continue to watch the trials and tribulations of Andy Wallace up front, and there's JJ Leto battling away now with Alan McNish, the Scottish driver in the Real. It was announced before the race that the Real team will finish off the season in 1991, and then they will not return to the Grand Prix grid in 1992, which is definitely going to give another team a chance to step in and take over. Lots of wild rumours about teams coming in for 1992, by the way. Apparently, Emerson Fittipaldi is still talking up the chances of teaming up with Nelson Piquet to revive the Fittipaldi race team for 1992. I've heard stranger things than that in Grand Prix racing, but it's certainly one of the wilder rumours that's going around the Grand Prix paddock. But through they come, up to the starting position again, as we ride on board with Hideki Noda, having got past Cheever. I didn't see where he made the move, but Noda has got through, past Eddie Cheever. Bernard in fourth position from Hattori, Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill and Pirro in the top 10 at the moment as they run on lap 6. So here comes McNish diving through up the inside of JJ Leto into the inside line at turn 1, and that is job done. No problems at all there for McNish to get through into 15th position. As we've got a nice little challenge of cars in front as well. Aiello, Comas and Zanardi all dueling away. But there is Eddie Cheever trying to make his way through in the Eurogrunt Ford as we ride on board with Eric Bernard in the Modena Martini Lamborghini. Trying to move his way further forward if he can as well. Lamborghini still wants a strong presence on the grid in 1992 and they have signed up for next year. They've done a good job considering the Lamborghini brand. So they are continuing their fabulous charge forward in 1992. So Eddie Cheever all over the back of Hideki Noda at this point. The Honda team are actually really struggling here at Hungary. They've got the fastest and most powerful car in the field, but mechanically, in terms of grip, it looks as though Naoki Hattori and Hiro Matsushita are actually really struggling to get that car up to speed. So here comes Eddie Cheever, trying to make his bid back on the inside of Hideki Noda, and that's into second position. Again goes the American. Passes the Japanese driver in the AGS. So that is a big transformation then for the team. Andy Wallace still out in front though, the British driver in the Jordan. And here comes Jean-Marc Gounod fighting back in the Renault as he tries to make his bid on the inside of JJ Leto. And he gets through very nicely indeed as well. So that's really well worked. But Cheever still in second position at this point. Let's ride on board with Eddie Cheever as he works his way through the chicane. Great to hear the Ford engine in full swing. And still the racing continues on in full pelt for Eddie Cheever, trying to get away from Hideki Noda, but also trying to chip away at that lead of Andy Wallace. Now, for those who haven't seen this before or haven't seen it for a while, don't forget that the top 3 teams across the finish line will be the teams that progress through to the Grand Prix itself. This is still just pre-qualifying, 50% of the race distance of the race itself, as Tommy Byrne in the Zach Speed pushes it very hard indeed there in front of Martin Donnelly in the Fond Metal. So still Martin Donnelly trying to work his way forward in the Fond Metal machine, just in behind the Zach Speed. Well, you never know what's going to happen in these races. These cars are very brittle and they break down a lot in the pre-qualifying because the teams don't really run to the same budget as the top 10 teams do to get into the Grand Prix. Andy Wallace having a very solid run in the lead of the race here, the Jordan driver, up in front of Eddie Cheever, Hideki Noda, Eric Bernard and Naoki Hattori from Matsushita, Fernandez, Paul Tracy, Damon Hill and Emanuele Pirro. That is your top 10 at the moment. Top 10 drivers don't score points in pre-qualifying, although that is being discussed for next season, for there to be a separate pre-qualifying championship alongside the Grand Prix itself. It is definitely being discussed for next year. So here comes the move. Ooh, very nearly. As McNish tries to get his move further forward. But Wallace, Cheever, Noda, Bernard and Hattori all having a very solid run. Hattori, Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill and Pirro. Very interesting situation then for the drivers. As Wallace, Cheever, Noda, Bernard and Hattori. Rydell still doing his best to move further forward. Coming off the turn. And this is Rickard Rydell holding up a nice train of cars now. Roberto Moreno in the Subaru Coloni. And then we have Tommy Byrne in the Zach Speed. And Martin Donnelly still there in the Fond Metal. But Rickard Rydell trying to get away. Now obviously they have 2 separate types of strategy in this pre-qualifying race. Some drivers will not pit and they will just stay out there for the entirety of the race. Others will take a one-stop strategy through the race. Riding on board again. And as you can see, Andy Wallace just stretching out the lead out front, really enjoying life in the lead in the Jordan Ferrari, but here's Cheever still with Noda all over the back of him. Hideki Noda has been a very impressive driver in 1991. So too is Anna McNish in the Real. He's definitely one to keep an eye on for next season. All sorts of wild rumours of teams that are definitely going to be part of the 1992 Grand Prix fold. The series is in rude health at the moment with 23 teams racing in Grand Prix racing in the current era. So the drivers continue in brilliant fashion here. Wallace, Cheever, Noda, Bernard and Hattori. Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill and Pirro. Down, drop the hill once again. Hideki Noda trying to work his way further forward, and there's Damon Hill in the Virgin Renault still trying to work his way to the back of Paul Tracy in the Modena Lamborghini. Out of turn 4. And up the hill through that flat left-hander, really attacking the corner, and keep it nice and wide through this right, and then up to the chicane. It's a fabulous circuit, this, the Hungaroring. It's very uphill and down dale, lots of peaks and troughs and lots of elevation changes around this circuit. But Eddie Cheever is hanging on here in front of Hideki Noda as they drop their way through, in through the chicane, and then on the drop down to the hairpin. The circuit hasn't been updated much since it opened back in 1985. And it's certainly becoming a very permanent race circuit on the calendar as far as Grand Prix racing is concerned. It's a very popular venue here. Eric Bernard in front of Naoki Hattori. Now Hattori's got straight line speed in the Honda, but doesn't seem to have the confidence in the car around the tight technical twisties, though he does have a good move there on Eric Bernard. He's finally managed to make his move stick there, but it's been a long time for Naoki Hattori. Obviously this is the car that is used to leading races. And here at the Hungaroring, it's a very different race circuit. As the drivers work their way through on the far side of the course, they work their way round in the right-hander and charging back up again up to the 11th lap we're on at the moment, which is 1/4 of the way through this pre-qualifying race. So it's definitely going to be an intriguing challenge for the drivers. But it's definitely going to be intriguing to see how it all plays out here. Contenders having a very solid run section of it. But Wallace out in front, Cheever in second place, then Noda, Hattori, Bernard, Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill and Pirro. As the contenders continue on their way forward. Down the straight, moving up to the first hairpin. Eric Bernard is going to try and take Hattori back again, and he's done it. Well, you don't see that too often in 1991, a driver challenging a Honda for an overtaking move and getting through. So that's a very impressive situation. As Andy Wallace in the Jordan, they are just loving this circuit. And the car is out front having an amazing time in the lead of the race. This is exactly what Andy Wallace was signed up for Jordan to do. So a terrific situation as the contenders battle away and having a really solid race of it. But there's still plenty more to come. And the drivers are having a really exciting run for all the battles to come. And Noda still all over the back of Cheever. But Bernard and Hattori are having a brilliant battle for 4th position. Then Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill and Pirro from Larini. And then Laurent Aiello in the second AGS. Eric Comas is doing a fair job in the Minardi. And there's Martin Donnelly dueling away with the other car. That's Bernd Schneider. So Donnelly has had a difficult race of it by the look of it so far. And now he finds himself stuck behind the German, Bernd Schneider, who is currently replacing Pierluigi Martini in the Minardi team. Roberto Moreno working his way forward, skating through the S's, and then Tommy Byrne is currently being held up at the moment in the Zach Speed. Zach Speed apparently are umming and ahhing about whether they are going to get involved in Grand Prix racing again in 1992. They have a relative program in operation, but they don't just look after Grand Prix racing. They have very much a busy racing program across various different forms of motorsport. And look at Andy Wallace though, just taking it nicely through the course, having a really solid run up in the lead of the race here. Excellent display and a fantastic performance. So this is a great run. Tommy Byrne on the inside now of Roberto Moreno as we watch the Mexican driver Adrian Fernandez in the Eurobron Ford. Apparently this is just a celebration one-off livery for the Ford brand here in Hungary. And you can see that Fernandez is really pushing Hiro Matsushita, the Japanese driver in front of him, to try and move further forward. But here in Hungary, it's not engine power that counts. It's about how good your car is in terms of mechanical grip. And Andy Wallace and the Jordan team really do seem to have a good car underneath them. This is going to be a strong foundation for them for 1992, isn't it? So Wallace, Cheever, Noda and Bernard, the top 4 at the moment, and it looks as though if it stands like this, Jordan will be going through, so will Eurobrun, and so will AGS, and Honda will not, which will be a big shock as far as the battle for getting through to the Grand Prix is concerned. But it's always been very interesting to see when Honda have a difficult race to see which 3 teams do make it through. The Ford is looking pretty neat and tidy at the moment there for Eddie Cheever. Apparently the team is going to be rebranded under the Aston Martin logo next year. That'll be particularly exciting. And apparently they're already lining up a big name sponsor which will be returning to the glory days of racing, is what they say. And there is Damon Hill in the Virgin Renault. He nearly shot straight off the road there. But he's definitely trying to push that car further forward. And there's a lot of rumours coming out of the Renault camp that they are going to make a bid next year to place Damon Hill alongside the 3-time Grand Prix world champion Alain Prost, who has dramatically announced his retirement from racing at the end of the German Grand Prix. He was actually banned from 3 races for falsifying testimony at the steward's office. He was banned from 3 races and said, right, well, there's no point in me sticking around in Grand Prix racing anyway then, so I'm going to leave. And apparently he's already been in communication with another team, which of course is Renault. And Brabham obviously needed to replace Alain Prost fairly quickly. They've done so with the German star Manuel Reuter, who's now come into the Brabham team, and obviously they have promoted their young French star Emmanuel Collard to the team, which is interesting because Emmanuel Collard is apparently a Renault contracted driver, as Jean-Marc Gounod now dives up the inside of McNish to move up to 15th position. He can't make the move stick though, so Gounod really struggling. So it'll be interesting to see how things continue to play out. But Andy Wallace is your race leader at the moment, 3.4 seconds clear of Eddie Cheever, and then Noda, Bernard, Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill, Pirro and Larini, and then Hattori in the 11th position. But into the pits comes Andy Wallace, and this is going to be a scheduled pit stop for the Jordan driver, so no problems at all for him there. The car looks good as McNish is dueling away with Gounod and Andrea De Cesaris, so fabulous situation for the contenders here. So really interesting situation. So in comes Wallace, and in comes Noda and Bernard as well. So 3 drivers coming into the pits at the same point, and that gives Cheever the lead of the race then for the time being in the Eurobrun Ford. So Comas is in the Minardi. His teammate now is Bernd Schneider. Apparently Martini is not in the car because he injured himself in training. He has a damaged wrist. He wanted to be in the car, but doing so made him worse off. But apparently he will be back in the car soon, according to team principal Michael Gillespie. Eric Comas is actually in the pits at the moment in the Minardi, and so too is the Renault driver Jean-Marc Gounod, as we currently watch Fernandez all over the back of Matsushita in the Honda. So Honda versus Ford, Leighton House versus Eurobrun if you like, but they are very much the holding names of the teams. It is very much Honda versus Ford at this point. As Eddie Cheever drops down the hill, hoping that he can put the Ford car into the victory position, but he's coming into the pits as well. So he dives to the pit road as we go on this helmet cam, which is a fabulous new addition to the broadcast lineup for 1990, and then obviously it's continued on into 1991. Cheever in the pit lane then, as he has his own pit stop. So going well for Hiro Matsushita. The Honda driver now takes over the lead. Fernandez into 2nd position. I wonder, is the slow speed of the Hondas because they've decided with Matsushita's car to go long on the strategy? And certainly if he has a non-stop strategy, overtaking at Hungary is not an easy thing to contemplate. So Matsushita could end up being a bit of a cork in the bottle here. Fernandez is all over the back of him anyway. Tracy is now in 3rd. Hill is in 4th in the Renault, would you believe? And Pirro in 5th position in the Dallara. So Andy Wallace, who led in the early stages, is now there in 7th position. Doing a bad job so far. And Naoki Hattori runs in 10th position, stuck behind the Eurobrun. He thought he could jump Eddie Cheever there, but has not been able to. So Naoki Hattori having to regroup and rebuild, as Paul Tracy now finds himself in 3rd behind Matsushita and Fernandez. So still they battle on in fine style. The AGS cars currently running in 8th and 12th, but obviously that is because Noda has made a pit stop. So we'll have to see how things continue. So still the battle rages. So still the drivers battle away in fine formation. Emanuele Pirro is coming to the pits, as too has Damon Hill and Hiro Matsushita as well. So Fernandez has now taken over the lead, as you can see, as we watch Tommy Byrne. Whoops! Tommy Byrne, the Irishman, pushing a little bit too hard there in the Zaxby. As he overshoots at that point of the course, manages to recover. It's certainly not the easiest situation. But a fabulous situation for the contenders. And now we're going to try and figure out who is actually going to get the most of this tactical situation. Adrian Fernandez, 2 seconds now clear of Paul Tracy, but is he coming in? Yes, he is. The Mexican is going to come into the pits as well. So Tracy in second position, Larini in third, then Wallace, Noda and Chiva. Hattori in 7th position, Eric Bernard will be in 8th position in front of Matsushita and Aiello. But then Zanardi, Hill, Leto, Pirro and Winkelhock, with Paul Tracy leading the way in front of Larini, Wallace and Fernandez. Then Noda, as we watch Bernd Schneider in the Minardi. But Fernandez has obviously dropped back now as a result of his pit stop. So it puts Paul Tracy, the Canadian, is going to be leading the race then in front of Wallace, and then Larini from Chiva, Noda, Hattori, Bernard, Matsushita and Fernandez, who has rejoined in 9th position. Here's JJ Leto about to lose ground to Emanuele Pirro. So Pirro in the Dallara coming through, and he has taken the position. So nicely handled then from the Dallara. So Paul Tracy, the Canadian, having a very solid run of it in the lead here in front of Andy Wallace now in the Jordan. So it looks like they are going to go through. Martin Donnelly still under pressure, this time from Bernd Schneider in the... Oh, sorry, no, that's Eric Comas, isn't it, in the Minardi? So he gets through. Comas is really turning into a bit of a star here in the Minardi team. And in comes Paul Tracy. So he's gone a little further than the other drivers, but he's certainly made his mark, and that will give the race lead back to Andy Wallace in front of the Dallara of Nicola Larini. However, there is going to be a rule brought in for the 1992 season, which is with pre-qualifying, it will end up being a one-stop mandatory race next year. The drivers can do it whenever they choose. Up the inside, there will go the move from Alan McNish. He has got the overtake. There is Andy Wallace back in the lead of the race then in the Jordan. 19 laps completed, 20 to go. And there is Roland Ratzenberger still pushing hard in the Fon Metal. So he continues to make steady progress, working his way forward. So a fabulous scenario for the race leader up front. Andy Wallace leading the race in front of Eddie Cheever. So it looks as though it could be a really solid performance, a really good situation then for the contenders as they continue out in front to battle. Is that a slowing AGS? I think we've got a problem there for Laurent Aiello. So Laurent Aiello going slowly by the look of it. Hideki Noda still doing a good job there in 3rd position. I'm not sure what's happening to his teammate in the other Duracell AGS. But it looked to me as though Aiello was having a big mechanical issue there. So I'll have to double check and see if he is okay, but certainly he was losing a lot of ground. As Andrea De Cesaris still going wheel to wheel with the Fon Metal of Martin Donnelly. Now Fon Metal has confirmed they're going to be racing on the grid again in 1992. So that is good to see, and they've got good financial structure. But look, Laurent Aiello is really struggling, and he is out of the race by the look of it. Oh dear, oh dear. So the AGS was struggling, and I'm afraid Laurent Aiello is out of the Hungarian Grand Prix pre-qualifying race. So he becomes the first retirement on lap 21, so quite a long way into the race. Lap 20 for him, of course. But Eddie Cheever in the Eurobrun still doing well in front of the other AGS of Hideki Noda. So as long as Noda remains in the top 3, then even though Laurent Aiello has retired, he's he's going to have an opportunity to get through to the race itself. So still, the battle rages on here. Wallace is your leader. Chiva, Noda, Hattori, Bernard, Matsushita, Fernandez, Tracy, Hill and Pirro. That's your top 10 for the moment. But Andy Wallace in the Jordan looking good to get through to the Hungarian Grand Prix in the lead of the race. Fabulous start to proceedings. So still they come. But Wallace doing a grand job in the lead. Chiva in the European still second. Here comes Eric Comas trying to make his bid now on the Subaru Coloni. In front of him, that is Roberto Moreno. And in front of all of them, you've got the other Jordan of Carl Wendlinger. What has happened to Wendlinger's pace of late? Just doesn't seem to have any real strength in the car at the moment. Meanwhile, the Renault of Jean-Marc Gounod is slowing, and slowing big time. So I wonder if Jean-Marc Gounod has got a problem in that Renault, because he's suddenly found himself all the way down in 23rd position as well. So it'll be an interesting battle for him to continue. And here comes Gounod making a bid now back down the inside of the Fonmetal. So I wonder if Gounod just had an off somewhere and has dropped down the order. And now the other Fonmetal, well, the Fonmetal is now going very slowly further back. So I wonder if that's a problem now brewing for Martin Donnelly. As Noda continues in third position in front of Naoki Hattori. Naoki Hattori trying to get his way into the Grand Prix, but the Honda needs to make the move as Alan McNish is slowing in the Real. He loses ground there through the first corner to one of the Monteverdis. I think that's Alex Zanardi, who is proving himself to be a real talent here. While Donnelly had a mechanical problem that's brought the Fonmetal into the pits down at the back of the field, so bitterly frustrating though that must be for the Fonmetal team. Nothing much has really changed there. So Eric Comas still pushing to work his way further forward round the hairpin at turn 6. Then climbed up to the chicane. Noda still in third position in the Duracell AGS, and De Cesaris trying to get his move there on the inside of Alan McNish. So still a tough situation, a very intriguing and close battle at the moment. And Rickard Rydell, the car is on fire. The Real ablaze and on fire there, unfortunately. So Rickard Rydell going no further in the Real, and that's very unfortunate indeed for him. So he retires from the race, the Swedish talent. So Rickard Rydell unfortunately pulls off the road and retires. So bitterly disappointing, but it very much is now game over for the Real. So Rickard Rydell will park his car on the sidelines. Meanwhile, Hideki Noda continues doing a very solid job himself. He continues to run through there on the far side. And here's Zanardi. Zanardi making a good impression in the Monteverdi. Still 50-50 as to whether this car is going to go the distance in Grand Prix racing in 1992, although it's looking very much likely that we might not see the Monteverdi name on the grid again. So Noda, third position. And he's pulled well clear of Naoki Hattori, who's in the clutches of Eric Bernard, so this is not good news for Honda. As Alex Zanardi is now swarming all over the back of Roberto Moreno, I think it is, in the Subaru Coloni. If it's not, then it's Andrea De Cesaris in the other car. But Zanardi looking racy here, as Andy Wallace continues in the lead in the Jordan, hoping to put the Jordan team into the Hungarian Grand Prix of 1991. And a very solid battle it has been for the team so far in this season. They've had their moments, they've had a very strong run. Apparently next year is going to be even stronger, as the Cesaris swarming around all over the road and in front of Jean-Marc Gounod as well. So it is Roberto Moreno that's in front of Zanardi. And Donnelly, as I think in the background there, just made the move on one of the Minardis. But Noda still having a very spirited run in third position. So still they continue. And here comes Alex Zanardi making his bid up the inside line. So Zanardi diving through and getting the overtaking bid there. So Zanardi in a decent car, in a decent position. Seems to be a real talent to watch out for. There's young Alex Zanardi. I wonder how far he'll go in the world of Grand Prix racing. There's Eddie Cheever, the American, still doing a good race in the European Ford, as Alan McNish now makes a solid and spirited effort to move his way further forward. So still, they battle it out. Up the climb. line. Is this going to work out? Not really. Hideki Noda still there in third position. Look at the background, and you've got Naoki Hattori desperately trying to shake off Eric Bernard in the Modena Lamborghini now, trying to work his way further forward. So a very tricky race of it. And still they battle on. As up the inside of a Subaru Coloni, that looked particularly easy as Jean-Marc Gounod had to slam on the brakes for the concertina effect, as he has a Minardi and a Subaru Coloni in front of him. This is a very frustrating race for Jean-Marc Gounod, who really isn't having much of this at the moment. So, big strength of character coming the way of Jean-Marc Gounod, as he now has to try and find his way back through the field. There's Noda. And Eric Comas now charging through. So Eric Comas in the Minardi, working his magic to come further forward. Through the hairpin. And Jean-Marc Gounod still having a very frustrating race of it, currently stuck behind the Subaru Coloni. They continue to file up through the ranks, moving their way further forward. Up the climb once more. And through the right-hander. Still a tricky situation for the contenders as they come up to the chicane, and Eddie Cheever will continue his battle. Tommy Byrne finding himself in trouble. The Zach Speed, he was up in 14th place but slowing. So the Irish driver, who has definitely worked hard to get through, Alex Zanardi, goes past him, and I'm afraid a gearbox problem has put the Irishman Tommy Byrne out of this race. So very unfortunate for the Zach Speed driver, but it looks like the team is going no further in this one. And certainly Tommy Byrne has been a driver to watch for over the course of this 1991 season. He's definitely put in some good turns of speed and some great performances of an individual nature. But it is very tricky to see him struggling in position at the moment. So there is JJ Leto. The Monteverdi team, much more improved here in Hungary. 12th and 14th for these cars that are clearly good on a winding technical circuit. But they just really haven't been able to show that consistently through the season. But hopefully with Leto and Zanardi, they're going to start improving in the tail end of the season. Jean-Marc Gounod still bidding to work his way further forward. But he's still frustrated by this Subaru Coloni. He just can't seem to find a decent way to get through. That's the problem with this circuit. It is tough on the overtaking opportunities. Hideki Noda, the Japanese driver, working further forward and up into the S's again. Very solid effort here from Hideki Noda. So up through the winding, tight, twisty sections of the course. This is a really good run from the Japanese driver. A lot of people were a bit snobbish of Hideki Noda, but he has been working his craft in British Formula 3. So he's done a fair job to get himself into a decent race seat. Eddie Cheever, second position at the moment. As now he makes the bid up the inside of Bernd Schneider and goes for the move. Takes the place. Very nicely done. So an excellent display and a fantastic strength of character there as Eddie Cheever continues on his march into second position now, lapping the Minardi. But certainly Cheever in a strong position up at the front end of the field as McNish is now trying to make the bid on Carl Wendlinger, but he can't get past the Jordan. Wendlinger just really isn't maximising the Jordan car, is he? He hasn't really been able to make good use of it. Teammate Andy Wallace has 4.8 seconds clear of everybody else. It's clearly a bit of a diamond in the rough is Andy Wallace, and here he is lapping traffic at the moment, diving through into the chicane. No problem at all to get past Roman Ratzenberger in the Von Matal. Here's the AGS of Hideki Noda. Now he's got to work his way past the Minardi without causing too many headaches. As he skates his way through, he's going to have to try and find a little bit of pace to get past Bernd Schneider in the Minardi, and he does indeed get through. So Bernd Schneider, in his first Grand Prix attempt, is not going to get the Minardi team through. But crucially, nor is his teammate Eric Comas. So the Minardi team will have to regroup and refocus, ready for the next race of the championship, which is at the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. So Wallace is your race leader in the Jordan. Then Cheever in the Eurobrun Ford. Noda in the AGS continuing on his way. And then it is Naoki Hattori, Eric Bernard, and Hiro Matsushita. Andrea De Cesare is all over the back of the Jordan still. And that's McNish slowing in the Real. So Alain McNish is really slowing down here. And it looks like he's got a problem with the wheel on the left front. Oh no, it's gearbox failure. Gearbox failure for the Real of Alain McNish. So I'm afraid that's very much game over for him. And that puts Real out of another competitive shot of the victory because Rydell is already out and McNish is out as well. So Cheever now finding himself really stuck in traffic as Roland Ratzenberger comes off the gas to allow Cheever the chance to go through up the inside. Cheever took a long time to get that move done, but he has now managed to do so. So a fabulous run, but Cheever obviously taking his time to get through, and Emanuele Pirro nearly drifts the Dallara completely off the road. His teammate is actually the car behind him, and that is of course Nicola Larini. So fabulous run. And still the drivers continue to battle their way around the course. Working their magic to storm forward. Noda working hard as he continues to make progress. Making his way round the flow of turn 2. Jean-Marc Gounod still getting held up. The Renault driver really smarting for the problems earlier on, as he finds himself stuck behind the Jordan of Carl Wendlinger once again. Schneider still trying not to be too much of a mobile roadblock, trying to get out of the way. Naoki Hattori and Eric Bernard both able to get through. And certainly Bernard able to close up on Naoki Hattori, who got really bitterly held up by the German in the Minardi. So still the drivers continue their charge forward. But with 10 laps to go, Andy Wallace is looking pretty comfortable in position. A much longer pre-qualifying race than it was in Germany. Of course, the lap being faster, the same level of distance is not completed in the same sort of time. Roland Ratzenberger in the Von Mattel stuck in position, and it looks like Tracy has actually got past his teammate Bernard. Not entirely sure what's happened to the Modena, but certainly the Modena Lamborghini of Eric Bernard really struggling now for pace. As Gounod finally gets past Carl Wendlinger, that's taken him quite a while. And that really has frustrated the Renault driver to try and make progress, as they have both been lapped now by the Jordan of Andy Wallace. That shows you the kind of speed Wallace has got. Bernard is falling away big time, so I think Eric Bernard in the Modena has got a problem. Indeed he has, into the pits, and Eric Bernard. And so mechanical problems, I would guess that's probably of a throttle related nature or an electrical problem, but it's certainly dropped Eric Bernard out of the top 10. Now Roland Ratzenberger, the young Austrian driver, trying to work his way through past the Subaru Coloni, being frustrated at the moment by that. But certainly Naoki Hattori now trying to work his way forward, up into 4th position, trying to get past Ratzenberger. Ratzenberger gets out of the way, but crucially, the Honda is not yet through to the Grand Prix. They are for 4th position, and it's the top 3 teams that go through. If it stays like this, there'll be Jordan, Eurobrun Ford, and AGS. They get through to the Grand Prix. One of those cars drops out, Honda suddenly have a chance to get back in it. But Andy Wallace driving a great race in the Jordan. Here's Roberto Moreno in the Coloni Subaru, about to move over from Naoki Hattori. Naoki Hattori working his way through. Hiro Matsushita is there in 5th position as well. So both Hondas are trying their best to get in, but at the moment they are being frustrated by the 3 clearly faster cars in front of them. So there's Noda lapping the other Jordan. That shows you the difference in progress, as De Cesaris has got a problem in the Subaru Coloni. Wallace gets past him way quicker than usual, so I think Andrea De Cesaris, a problem is emerging in that Subaru engined Coloni, and the car is suddenly a lot slower even than that should be. Either that or De Cesaris just had a really big issue coming off turn 3, as Eddie Cheever is just 3.7 seconds back from Wallace now, so Wallace clearly getting held up there in the traffic on the last lap, because Cheever is now a little bit closer to him than I think the Jordan would like it to be. Down the hill, hoping for a little bit more from this car. And it's still a very intriguing race battle, as the contenders still giving us plenty of excitement and good good-natured dueling. Andy Wallace coming off the final turn, and he will complete the 32nd lap of this 39-lap battle as Gunnar is moving over to let Eddie Cheever go by. No real reason to hold him up, so Gunnar obviously letting him go. You can sense the frustration though in the Renault camp. They do have a good car underneath them. It's just not quite getting to the top three yet as Ratzenberger dives in up the inside of the Subaru Coloni, and Andy Wallace, you can see how hard Wallace is pushing as he wants to get away from Eddie Cheever. But what a fabulous time Wallace is having. He's been Formula 3000 and Group C stalwart. He continues to banter around the course, having a great time of it. So Eric Bernard, 1 minute 19.2. He sets the new fastest lap of the race to the Modena Lamborghini, so clearly frustrated and down the order in 11th position. The Modena Lamborghini team are not going to get through with that, as Paul Tracy is now the leading car from that team. He finds himself all the way down in 7th position. So not really where he wanted to be at all. And still the battles continue here as Naoki Hattori runs in 4th position in the Honda. He's just lapped the Jordan of Carl Wendlinger. So we now have 6 laps remaining because Andy Wallace has come through to complete lap 33, and this is a 39-lap pre-qualifying race. Grand Prix itself will be run over 78 laps, of course. It is the longest race in terms of number of laps on the calendar, and there has been discussion about reducing the race distance for next year as Bernd Schneider goes wheel to wheel with the Dallara. So Bernd Schneider trying to get out of the way of the two Dallara cars, which are 9th and 10th, Pirro and Larini. This is not exactly where Minardi wanted things to go with Bernd Schneider. So still they duel away, but I'm afraid Bernd is not really getting the best of things in that Minardi car, but this was a last-minute call-up to replace Pierluigi Martini. So Andy Wallace still working hard on the far side of the course here, hoping for a little bit more. Still 3 seconds is the gap between himself and Cheever. It's down to 2.9 though, so Cheever really is finding a little bit more pace in the latter stages of this race. And Cheever steal a win away from Andy Wallace in the Jordan. Cheever is chipping away at Andy Wallace's advantage. Not a very comfortable position to be in. But Eddie Cheever is really having a strong run. So, still the competitors battle away. But it looks as though Noda's slowing in the AGS. I think Hideki Noda is slowing down. And that is disastrous because now Naoki Hattori has gone through into 3rd position. And Noda is dropping. He's coming to the pits. Hideki Noda with an electrical problem of some kind. And that has thrown away the race for AGS. A slight technical glitch, and they are now not going through to the Grand Prix. So that is bitterly disappointing for Hideki Noda, and that's put Naoki Hattori through. Oh, Carl Wendlinger's got an engine failure. Well, maybe that explains why his pace has been so lacking of late. But certainly Carl Wendlinger in dire straits as he is going to retire from this race. His teammate Andy Wallace is still going strong, but there is the smoking Jordan Ferrari of Carl Wendlinger as Roberto Moreno goes round the outside of the Austrian and almost throws it off the road. But Carl Wendlinger is going to retire his car from the race. So Moreno, Ratzenberger and Gunnar have all managed to get through, and indeed there is the confirmation. Carl Wendlinger is out of the pre-qualifying session for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So around the far side, down the straight, Naoki Hattori, 3rd position. Still doing a brilliant job as he now looks like the Honda team is going to get into the Grand Prix. Naoki Hattori in the Honda, definitely a last lap opportunity. Was looking like a desperate moment there. But Damon Hill in the Renault, now trying to go the long way round the Von Metal. He is only about 4 seconds away from Fernandez in the European. Definitely the Renault team making big strides. So it's really good to see what the team can provide. Wallace is now just 2.6 ahead of Eddie Cheever. The thing is, Cheever is catching the Jordan of Andy Wallace, but he's not catching him fast enough to really do anything about taking the lead of the race. He's just got to try and hope that Wallace makes a mistake up front, and that's where Eddie Cheever can take advantage in the navy blue Ford colours of the Ford racing team. Because of course the Eurobrun team is going to be a Ford factory outfit for next year. They have bought the Eurobrun team out. First the season with the Eurobrun name. Ford. As Hideki Noda recovers, he's in 11th position, but this is no consolation to him whatsoever, because the team are not now going to progress to the Grand Prix down in 11th position. It's the first 3 teams that cross the finish line to get through. So this is bitterly disappointing. But Naoki Hattori running in 3rd position now in the Honda, ahead of his teammate Hiro Matsushita, who is struggling to keep Paul Tracy behind him, the Canadian. It's looking good for Honda to get through to the Hungarian Grand Prix. There are 3 laps to go, which shows you just how long the lap is here at the Hungarian Grand Prix circuit at Hungaroring. Laps take a long time around here. It's a long old race. So Wallace, Chiva, Hattori, Matsushita, Tracy and Fernandez. That's your top 6. And there is Eddie Chiva, still chipping away at Andy Wallace in the hope that he can force the British driver in front of him into making a mistake. This is an all-American affair, the Ford team, taking over from Europe for next year. And it looks like it's going to be potentially an all-American driver lineup again in 1992. But it's definitely going to be tight now to see who's going to get through. Because look, you've got the Modena Lamborghini all over the back of Matsushita. So it's fair to say we're definitely going to have... Oh, is that Hattori? That is Naoki Hattori. The Honda driver is out of the race in 3rd position. So Naoki Hattori out of the race in 3rd position. And that is going to promote Hiro Matsushita to 3rd position with just 2 laps to go. And Paul Tracy, the Canadian, all over the back. Look, they're trying to work their way through the traffic. Matsushita gets through on the inside of Ratzenberger. Tracy's going to get through as well. No, he's not. He's going to get held up. Paul Tracy's going to get held up. This is disastrous for the Modena Lamborghini. As Hideki Noda now sets the fastest lap of the race in his desperate bid to try and make up some time. But look, Paul Tracy is being frustrated here, sat in 4th position. He gets past Ratzenberger, shakes his fist at the Austrian as he goes past him. Because this is a chance for Paul Tracy to put the Modena Lamborghini team into 3rd position and into the Grand Prix, and he knows it. Matsushita has now got a chance. Look, Tracy is absolutely catching him hand over fist. Matsushita does not look like he's got the confidence here to hold on to this 3rd place. Hideki Noda tries to get up the inside of Pirro, and Pirro resists. So this is going to be a bit of a nail-biter to the flag between Matsushita and Tracy. Only the top 3 teams get through. And at the moment, that is Jordan, European Ford, and Honda. But can the Modena Lamborghini of the Canadian Paul Tracy get his way through past Matsushita on the final lap at the Hungaroring of the pre-qualifying race? Out of the braking zone. Up through the gears again comes Andy Wallace, looking very solid and strong. Charging his way forward. Down the straight. Looking for another opportunity. Eric Bernard is getting frustrated. He can't even keep up with Nicola Larini. What's going on with Eric Bernard's car? He hasn't been able to keep up with the Camaro of Larini. Damon Hill is going to bring the Renault into 6th position. That's their best finish of the season. So they can be very happy with the progress they're making. But there is Andy Wallace. A great debut for him as he has run in the lead of the race for most of it. Eddie Chiva is not going to get better than 2nd place out of this. Also need to watch out for Matsushita in front of Tracy. Can Tracy hold on? Can Tracy work his way through? Marini's having a good battle further back as he dives up the inside of Moreno to get away from Eric Bernard. And look, Matsushita's got Tracy all over the back of him. Tracy desperately trying to get through into 3rd position, but out of the final turn, Andy Wallace is going to take the victory in the pre-qualifying race. Jordan will start the Grand Prix, and so too will Eurobrun Ford. But what about the battle for 3rd? Matsushita and Tracy. It's going to be the final turn. Can the Honda make it through? It looks as though it's going to be able to. Paul Tracy will be absolutely furious that he had such a hold up there from Ratzenberger, as it is the Honda that gets through. Modena Lamborghini comes through in 4th position with Paul Tracy, but he is not happy at all. So they just miss out on qualification. So I'm afraid it is Jordan and Eurobrun that are joined by Honda, not Modena Lamborghini. Very unfortunate for Paul Tracy. It's delightful for the Honda team. who only just make it through on this occasion. 17 seconds back from the Jordan of Andy Wallace. Shows you how significant that engine power is for Honda in a place like Hockenheim or Silverstone. And yet here at the Hungaroring, where it's all about mechanical grip, they just don't have the car to challenge for the victory. Adrian Fernandez, the Mexican, coming through in 5th position in front of Damon Hill in the much improved Virgin Renault. Team boss Lewis Passendale will be very satisfied with that, and that definitely sets the tone for 1992 for them. They've got to just continue making that kind of progress. But Andy Wallace, very impressive run indeed from the Jordan driver, and he can be very happy indeed with the way that has played out. So there is Andy Wallace confirmed as the winner in the Jordan in front of Eddie Cheever and Hiro Matsushita, just getting through ahead of Paul Tracy, Adrian Fernandez and Damon Hill. Then Nicola Larini, Eric Bernard, Hideki Noda very frustrated in 9th, Emanuele Pirro even more so in 10th. The Monteverdis did a great job, JJ Leto and Alex Zanardi in front of Joachim Winkelhock and Eric Comas. Then the finishers behind them were Andrea De Cesaris and Jean-Marc Gounod, Ratzenberger, Moreno, Donnelly, Schneider, and Naoki Hattori classified despite retiring. Wendlinger, McNish, Byrne, Rydell and Laurent Aiello all on the sidelines. And it was a fabulous situation for all of the contenders there in a brilliant situation. I think that was trying to show us the fastest lap. The fastest lap did go the way of Hideki Noda, as we saw in the closing stages. But that is a brilliant battle and a very significant one, as we now know the identity of the 3 teams that are going to go through to the Grand Prix. And they are most notably Jordan, Eurobrunn Ford and Honda. Tune in next time for the Hungarian Grand Prix itself of 1991.